I love this stump, and I'm not afraid to say it. What I don't love though is all these weeds. Lovely stinging nettle, and of course there's some cooch because it's my garden, and some flat leaf stuff going on. Anyway, I want to turn this area into a garden. So I'm going to shape it. I am going to cover it in bark mulch, and I'm going to turn it into a space that I really love. Obviously my beautiful espaliered peach tree will stay there. I'll do a whole video on that separately for you because it is fascinating and fun, and I've got a few other things to go in there as well. So first things first, I want it to look like this. First step is to cut out what I want to be doing, and I've gone around the inside ring first, and then the outside ring's a little bit smoother, and what I'll do is I'm just going to take it all out. And the first step I'm going to do is just to take all the dirt, let's give it a bit of a bash, as much dirt as possible off all this grass. So get all of that, the girls are getting all the many worms, get all of that, and then the soil goes into the main island. So of course there is grass in there. What I have done in the past is laid newspaper or cardboard down, but in this instance I'm just going to use the hay and bark mulch, as I discussed before. I do have a little bit of cardboard over there if I find some particularly stubborn patches of cooch. Also what I probably will do is use some of that cardboard around the base of this tree here, because it's unlikely that I'm going to plant anything directly underneath it. Another thing I do, if your spade's not cutting the mustard, or the cooch in this particular instance, is I'll actually take a knife and I just go around, especially for a garden this size, or if you're just tackling a small portion of the garden, just cut it. And that gives you a nice clean edge as well. Obviously I'll tidy that up when I've got two hands. I use one of these Victorinox knives, or Victorinox, however you want to say it, and it's excellent. This one's getting a wee bit blunt now, but the knife is about $10. I'm not sure if there's a gardening tool that does the same thing. I also use it for weeding. Yeah, I'll give you an example. There you go, there's only a couple there, but if you get in underneath and just cut, there you go, and you can just pull the tops off. Because without the leaves, the weeds can't photosynthesize, and whatever roots are left are going to die anyway. Especially with an area that's mulched like this, because of course, you know, I mean, there's my beautiful bulbs, but if you're pulling something like that size out, it's obviously going to disturb a whole lot of the dirt underneath, which will lead to more weed problems, not less. So the more compact your dirt stays underneath your bark mulch or whatever mulch you're using, the less likely you are to get weeds. Shown by the fact that it was really hard for me to find those little weeds in this garden. Anyway, back to my edging. As I say, I've sliced through here. It gives a nice tidy edged look, and by the time I've gone all the way around and sort of smoothed the dirt through the channel, it will it'll all look really nice. Alright, the spreading going well. I have elected to weed around the base of this peach tree, because of course I can't go hard up against it with some extra dirt, some hay, and then some bark, because otherwise we'll end up with rot in the trunk, and we definitely don't want that. So I'm going to dig these out like so. No, I already popped that one out when you weren't looking. So he's done a little bit of growing since he came out of his pot, but not a huge amount, which is cool. So I'll pop him to the side, and then when I do the bark right at the very end, that's when this guy will go back in. Same with this little buddy. And I do actually have a tiny little oregano down under here as well, which will get relocated. And when I say relocated, I mean it will come out from the plant a little bit and get planted in the mulch as opposed to in the dirt where he is. I love oregano for ground cover. I'll show you one. Check out this guy. Yes. So they grow really nicely. Beautiful foliage. Again, they're edible. They smell amazing when it rains, amazing when it's warm, and occasionally we'll throw out, you know, flowers and whatnot. I just cut them back. The harder you cut it back, the more likely it is to spread like a ground cover. And of course I want to be really cautious when removing this oregano, because he is so close to the peach tree, and of course we don't want to sacrifice a well-established fruit tree for a small herb, of which I have lots. So if I just get in underneath him a little bit, oh yeah, looks like it's going to come out quite easily, and just, there you go, they come out really easily. So, and left barely any dent, definitely not hurt the peach. Excellent. And I think I might trim him back a little bit so that he knows to be a ground cover. Dirt, then hay, and finally bark. So what have I done? Took me 2 trolley loads, which is substantially less than I thought it was going to. I've done obviously the dirt from my trench, hay that was just kind of sitting in the way, if I'm honest. Kind of wanted to use it for something, and then bark on the top. So all of that mulch should be plenty to stop greenery coming through, and all it took was a wee bit of water and strategic stomping, a bit of enjoyable trolley work, and some tipping. Oof. There we go. How satisfying was that? And I don't spray a lot in my garden, but I will just come through and get these little bits poking through because I'm not weeding that constantly. I spent too many years weeding things like this, and I have since discovered that sprays are wonderful. So I'll make myself a little bit of an edge, and it will hopefully start to look like that. And my favourite part of all of this is this. Now you have to excuse the webby bin and the clothesline that's in the way, but that look and feel that that garden has created, I just want to walk down that wonderful patch of grass. So really, oh, there we go, Jack to the rescue. Yeah, how's that? Woohoo! Get what you wish for in this house. I love it. Now let's put some plants in. I've got some marigolds, wee bit root bound, so we'll be loosening them up. I got a packet of 12 for $5 in the clearance section of Mitre 10. Firstly, before I show you what I do with root bound plants, I want to make a declaration that I will promise to get a tripod at some point soon. So what I usually do, I mean, if it's really bad, you can just cut the bottom off, or literally just slice down the side. And again, like some people do this with their secateurs or something similar, I just use the good old knife. All in and happy, I've now got a bucket of bulbs that I rescued before Jack made me a shed. I'll do that in a whole different video, but I'm going to put those through here as well. The bulbs are in, not that you can tell. In getting on there and moving things around, I've obviously pushed the bark further to the edge, which is ideal, that's what we want. I know the hay will disappear soon, I don't love the look of it, it does make it look a little bit messy, but yeah, I'm really excited about this beautiful garden. I haven't returned the, I assume they're some type of marigold. I haven't returned them because I actually quite like the look of them here. I feel like it beckons more. Prior to that, it was just an empty gap there, whereas now it's created sort of a path, if you will. At least a visual one. We've also, the girls and I have just planted some home sown bergamot seeds and some various cornflower colours. So fortunately these are really easy for little kids because it's just a case of throw them on. There's some there. We've got the bergamot and cornflower, and what I'll do is I'll just wet it down again, and that will be enough to plant them, and this beautiful little circle will become just a plot of flowers. We've done a lot in this garden, but we don't have any dedicated space just for flowers. I always make sure to include them for the bees, and because, you know, they're pretty and fun, but we don't have any dedicated spots. So obviously, other than our existing peach tree, which is about to lose all its leaves because we're heading into winter, we are going to have these beautiful, beautiful flowers come up, and of course the girls have been a part of that, which makes it that much more exciting. I'm really happy with today's efforts. Total time from start to finish, including interruptions from the children, I would say 3 to 4 hours, and boom, we have another garden. I do love a day 2 video. We got some really good rain overnight, which of course will have helped everything that's gone into this. The marigolds look like they're quite happy in their new spots, and I've planted snapdragons in between each of them that I grew from seed, so quite happy about that. I have put our wee oregano back in his spot. I'm really happy with how it's turned out, and I think once we get a larger frame for this peach tree, I will do a separate video on the peach tree. I've actually started one already. Once we get a second frame up and you know it's forever frame, I think this whole thing's gonna look great, absolutely great, and maximise use of space. And now that's one finicky little bit that I no longer have to mow. Let's be practical here, people. I was having to get between the stump and the tree, and that tree was just getting to be a bit of a pain. So now this whole area is going to be much easier to deal with.